This is the first video in the Memories of Boston series that I'm going to make. Folks, if you don't have a sense of humour, just get out of here. Get out of here, guys. If you want highly produced content, get out of here. This ain't the series for you. I moved to Boston in 2011 while the bombing campaign against Libya was ongoing. Gaddafi was still alive at the time, and I left Boston in 2012, so for just under a year. That's the time frame, folks. And to be honest with you, for the most part, I fucking hated it. I had no preconceptions of Boston. It doesn't really feature in popular culture. It's only that TV show Cheers, which I hadn't even seen since I was a little kid anyway. It was only set in one room, basically. So I didn't know what to expect, to know anything about Boston. Had no biases, positive or negative. It was just where this company happened to be located. So I lived on the Boston side of the river in a suburb called Brighton. And I worked in a suburb called Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I work in a technical field. And God, I don't know where to start. And I'm going to start with finding the share house and all that stuff. I'm going to start with how unexpectedly I found Boston to be an incredibly snobbish city. I was struck by how snobbish. I'm not from a rich family, guys. Really not. And it was just such a snobbish place. And going from one colony to another, so to speak, I wasn't really expecting that. And it's kind of horrible. Guys. Boston, I since learned, when I got there, I was just reading about Boston, after I'd been there a few months, that it's actually considered the most snobbish city. Looks so different walking back. That's the beautiful tree I saw on the way down. Never use a tree as a landmark, though. Yeah, it's the most snobbish city in the US. Here's another insight. I was trying to work out why something was wrong with where I was living in Brighton, and it's just, I couldn't place it for the longest time. There was just something missing, like some life force was missing or something. It was like there's something dead about the place. And look, it was my first time in the US, so I couldn't really say if it's just kind of what the country felt like or whatever. No, it was just something odd and wrong, and just kind of made you a bit down. And I realised what it was one day. There's no children there. There are no children there. Let's get the grammar right. There are no children there. The only children I would ever see in Brighton, Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America, planet Earth, were from, I guess there were a couple of Orthodox Jewish families and they had their black outfits. They're the only kids I'd see. They take the kids out and go for walks and stuff. Peculiar folks, I gotta say. Lovely parrots. Got a kookaburra laughing. And do you want to see the parrots a bit closer? So they don't fly away. That's another kookaburra. Parrots up here. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. There's 3 or 4 of them there. And there are no children. There are no children, guys. Should I get closer? Why? Because it's a student population. You have Harvard University in Boston, not that far away. Zoom back out. I'm going to get lost otherwise. And you have MIT. And fuck, there's probably other places as well, probably like medical schools and stuff. And so a lot of the houses are just rented out as share houses, like the one I was in, to students, in some cases young professionals. And there are no kids there. And it's the weird, once you realise it, it's like, holy shit. And I don't know if it's because those who do have kids, they won't let them go outside because it's too dangerous on the street, or it never really struck me as being a dangerous suburb, but it is America. So a snobbish city and a certain deadness to it due to lack of children. It's a bit nicer if you go out to parts of the central Boston, go down near the aquarium, and that is a bit more sort of vibrancy and happiness. But I never actually went to the aquarium. It's meant to be amazing. So yeah, guys, Boston, and it's a bit of a concrete jungle. I don't know, I just felt very claustrophobic in Boston. And my escape was going to the racetrack, the horse racing track called Suffolk Downs. So I'll do another video on that one. Yeah, guys, Boston is a snobbish city full of snobbish people. I remember, and rude people too. Very rude. I mean, snobbishness is a form of rudeness. I'd only been there probably less than a week, and I'd heard about, the Maine lobster, and it's kind of like a local thing to eat lobster in that area, and I didn't want to be a tourist or anything, but fuck it, I was hungry, and there's this sort of modernish looking restaurant just on the shopping mall, kind of place I'd never go to, and I went in there and I ordered a lobster roll. I went and sat down in one of the booths, and the sort of, middle-aged, slightly overweight, greasy looking guy brings me over these little basket of little sticks. They look like fish fingers or something. Well, actually, no, it must have been the weight of whatever. And turns out they're mozzarella sticks. They do this thing over there where they take cheese and they batter it and then they deep fry it. It's fucking sick, guys. It's the most bland, pointless dish. Snack, like, it's a bland cheese to start with, and you're just deep frying it. I mean, with oil, it's just, they're horrible things. And hopefully I'm on the right track. I think I am. I take it over to the counter where the guy was who runs the place. I said, I think it's been a mix-up. I ordered a lobster roll. I was like the only one in there. It was just like, I heard cheese sticks. Like, what a rude prick. So I never had lobster the whole time I was there after that. And yeah, that's Boston, guys. That is the rudeness of Boston. Not everyone, it's just that it's more, my housemates were not like that. I don't know that I'd speak about them in this video. I was in a share house with 7 people, but I was very reclusive and I kept to myself. I don't like being in groups of people. It's just not my thing. But can't say I kind of at times have missed it, strangely. I've thought that if I went back ever, I'd try and live down south in the Quincy area, and even get a little kayak or something to explore the harbour, something like that. But when you're away from the sea, it's just, you might as well be a million miles inland. It's just horrible. I didn't drive much in Boston at all. That's the other thing. I got screwed over with a car that I bought, but it was kind of my fault. Anyway. Yeah, guys, Boston, not recommended. I have some good memories from there. The work I was doing was amazing. Real roller coaster ride. Had some strange relationships though with my bosses, to be honest with you. A couple of people there just really didn't like me, but it's one of those things where, if you got at your job, they just want to. But that leads to a very toxic, I don't know, not toxic, but just like a bad vibe when the people don't really like you, or at least some of them, but they want you on board because you potentially can make them a ton of money by doing the R&D that they need to get done. There's that stick in the stump. I remember that coming down. Yeah, so my great escape was Suffolk Downs. And my health went to shit. It's one of the reasons I left. I had a job offer with more pay. I was on $19 an hour. If you look at the money I was taking home after taxes, that's Australian dollars. Equivalent, $19 an hour in my pocket, because you pay federal income tax, state income tax, and Medicare. And I was on $75,000 a year. At the time, that was about 65,000 Australian. Exchange rate was flipped compared to how it is now. So I was earning absolutely fucking peanuts. I couldn't believe how small my paycheck was. So I didn't get paid for like a month. I was like, fuck, is there a mistake here? Now they did, about a month before I quit, they put me up to 85,000, and then when I told them I was quitting, they put me up to 100,000. I only enjoyed that for like a month or something, but I still quit. I don't want to dwell on the health stuff because it's just depressing and it's over now. So, yeah, guys, it was wasn't in a good place in Boston. I lived in the share house at the top of the. I was in the very top on the third floor, and there's a little sleeping loft in there. So it was almost like 4 floors up. There's a little window, and I could see the steeple. There's this big church there, and there's, so there'd be funerals there every Saturday, right? And you'd hear the bell tolling and all of that. It's for an interesting ambience. I used to ride until I was sick, I walked, and I would ride my bike to work. Through all kinds of weather. Didn't matter, I always ride my bike. Raining, stinking hot. I remember riding back in a thunderstorm a couple of times. It was an odd winter. There was basically no snow. It's very unusual that winter. We had maybe one day of snow. That would all change after I moved to New York State. And yeah, so I experienced the city on foot on my bike, and that's a good way of being a little bit more grounded, almost literally, than just driving everywhere. And I would ride into the city. Did a couple of trips up to Rockport on the train. You can take your bike. It's just, I when you're working full time, there's only so much time you have to do these things, and I was very overwhelmed being in a new country. I'd only done one international trip before then, and I was fish out of water. Just everything was weird. The supermarkets were weird, the food was weird, people were weird. People couldn't understand me when I would speak to them. And even just ordering something, I couldn't even go to takeaway shops to order stuff because people could not understand what I was saying, folks. And yeah, after a while I would eat out every night or take it home. Like, I just didn't cook. Nothing wrong with the people in the chefs. I was just like uncomfortable, like cooking down there with 5 other people in the room. And it's funny when you eat out every fucking night or bring stuff back. And none of the food was very good. Quality food in America, like if you're eating it, it's fucking terrible. People at work knew some good places like around the Harvard Square area, but in Brighton, yeah, it wasn't very good at all. And it sounds good, and it wasn't expensive food I'd get, but yeah, it could be anything from, there was a pizza place, there was a KFC, there was a Greek place that I found after a while, there was another pizza place called Naked Pizza, which was shit. There was a supermarket that you could get certain things from. There's a Chinese takeaway. There's a Chinese buffet. And there's another Chinese takeaway, more of a Cantonese one, I think. Went there a few times. So yeah, kind of like low grade eating out or takeaway, and I don't know. It's just an interesting lifestyle that I had. There's no need to go back to it. Memories of Boston, yeah. I think the key is to not give a shit about other people and whether you get sacked or not, or it's easy to say all this though, and just because I was very, work was very stressful because there's a lot of pressure on me, especially, and I was just lucky I got the results. And it's, one of the reasons I didn't feel guilty about leaving is because I left them on a high. I've just solved the fucking massive problems you had. There's more work to do, but you're in a really good position now. And privately, even though I'd solved the problems, I didn't think it was going to work commercially anyway for different reasons, but that's not why I left at all. I'm not motivated by that, or at least I wasn't back then. And people were, the strange relationships got a lot better after I told them I was leaving, because I gave them 6 or 12 weeks notice, a long time. And people were really nice. I remember, they took us out to lunch, to a meal, a company dinner. And they gave us all a fucking iPad. I've still got it. Which was a $500 gift. And I was like, fuck. I was planning to tell you I'm quitting tomorrow. But they were really trying to keep people happy at that point. And unfortunately my mind was made up. kind of, New York is really interesting. I obviously wonder, what if I'd stayed in Boston that whole time? What would life have been like? Better, worse? Who knows? Who knows, guys? Back to the car here. That was a nice walk. Bit of a ramble about my life in the States. So we're going to do a Boston series. And it might be like just little 30-second vignettes for you guys. 30-second stories. But that's just setting the backdrop. Bye-bye.